Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. I'm Justin D. Jenkins, manager of the Quintessential Gentleman, and I'm here today with actor Ian Quinlan, one of the stars of Netflix upcoming series Jupiter's Legacy. Ian, how are you?
I'm great, man. What's going on?
Good, good. Are you excited? You have a lot going on.
I'm flipping out. I mean, like I finished this show November 2019. I thought it was coming out in 2020, but because things got held up with COVID and all that,
Yeah,
like I've just been sitting around waiting for this thing to come out, and I'm super excited.
sitting on it. It's interesting you mentioned COVID. Now that we are opening up, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to being around people. I'm looking forward to get to going out dancing and getting sweaty around people, and not having to worry about what getting sick.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah,
yeah, perfect. You are from New York, and you got your start on Broadway actually in The Lion King.
yeah.
And Broadway is opening up as well. Any plans to get back on the stage?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. This show's gonna keep me busy. I think we're trying to get to season two pretty quickly. But like, I started in theater, and I always have a love for theater.
Yeah,
I was doing a play right before COVID happened. We were
yeah,
like a week from opening, so that was really disappointing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, theater always is gonna have my love. So I'm very much looking forward to getting back to that at some point.
Right, right. Now you have an amazing resume from Gotham to The Long Road Home. Now Jupiter's Legacy. How
Yeah.
do you select your roles?
I really look for. I mean, I read these things and I look for some form of way I can empathize with this person, or like I try to understand who this person is, and if I think I could be, I see myself as the advocate for the character, whether they're a good guy, bad guy, anti-hero, whoever they are, and if I feel like I've got them the best take on how to bring them to life and have people actually see them through me,
Right.
that's when I'm game. Like Carl Pinkney was in Gotham. He's a young cadet going into the police force. And he's being recruited, and they were like, you were an all-star football player. Why not? Why are you here instead of getting a football scholarship or going to the NFL? And he's like, people from my neighborhood don't get scholarships.
Right.
You know, they join gangs, they sell drugs. And he's like, I needed to change the way my life was going. And for me, I was like, that's a beautiful thing that this guy is trying to change the circumstances of his community in which he grew up,
Right.
and he is trying to be a positive example. And then I was like, an uncorruptible cop of color.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen that in a minute. Like I was like, let's try that out. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, May 7th, it does drop Jupiter's Legacy. Tell us about your character in the series.
So I play this guy named Hutch. He is kind of an outlaw, iconoclast, rebel without a cause, and he is rebelling against the system. In this world, there are these superheroes who have been around since the 30s. They got their powers in the 30s after the stock market crash, and they have lived all the way till present day. And their children are now getting ready to take over for them. Their children who were born with powers. And now what's really interesting is they have this code of like no killing, and we don't do politics. We lead by example. We inspire. And they're this whole community of people who like they've been saving the world all this time. And Hutch is this guy who finds them hypocritical, finds the leader of this group, the utopian, to be a complete hypocrite himself.
Yeah.
I'm the son of the world's greatest supervillain who once was his father, once was the utopian's best friend.
Nice.
So I have this complete counter narrative to their whole global presentation, and I'm looking to really expose them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, did you feel pressure on set bringing Mark Miller's character to life?
No, not at all. Actually, I mean, he gave me big shoes to fill. He said he's the next Han Solo, so
Yeah.
I was like that was a little daunting for sure.
Right.
But I was like, I grew up reading Mark. I read the Ultimates. I read the Authority.
Right.
When he did Civil War, I was like really mesmerized by that. So when I read his stuff, when I read Jupiter's Legacy, I was like, oh, I think I get this guy. I know what
Right.
he's looking for. So I was like just full of excitement and trying to do my utmost and like give it my all.
Yeah, because comic book fans are ruthless. When it comes
Yeah.
to we see an example of it with the Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they harass WB, right? So it's good that you
Yeah.
feel pressure behind that. Now, in the age of superhero movies and television shows, what do you think Jupiter's Legacy adds to that genre, and how does it stand out?
Cool. Yeah, a couple things. So one is about with Jupiter's Legacy. First of all, we're meeting an entirely new set of heroes and with an entirely new origin story. So this isn't like you're not meeting another Peter Parker or a different take on Peter Parker. You're meeting some people you don't know for the first time. And the beauty of the show, why that's so important, is because we're actually learning about the humanity of these heroes and what their value system, what they're trying to do in the world. And you're getting a really up close look at this family of superheroes. It was really more of a family drama that happens to be superheroes. And you got this guy who can like stop a meteor, but he's like, how do I talk to my daughter? How do I reconcile my relationship with my son? Who does this guy turn to when he needs advice? It's really remarkable, and I think it's super cool to watch. And the other thing is so cool is that because we're going to get to see how these heroes have Mark Miller's using real life events. Like we start with a stock market crash.
Right.
And we're going to be seeing these heroes throughout the decades. So we're going to get to see how these heroes would have and could have and will respond to events that arise throughout history, which I think is super cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like the family drama aspect to it. So
yeah.
Pretty cool. Now, you said you were a fan of Mark Miller's. What kind of research went into just preparation and being able to knock it out the park?
Yeah, so Mark Miller, when he wrote Civil War, it was all about, that's when the government decides to intervene in superhero behaviors and says you need to register to be government officials and agents and submit to the government's authority. And then that causes a civil war between all the heroes. So then it was a question of like, who are we? What do we want to do, and how do we want to be? So then applying that to Jupiter's Legacy, you're seeing these people like this new young group of next generation of superheroes are thinking that maybe we need to question the code that the Union has been living by all this time.
Yeah.
Which puts us in a very pivotal point in our country, and like it's a very pivotal point in our country currently.
Yeah.
And Hutch is sort of like defiant regarding their whole system. He's very anti-establishment and like anti-systems. And so one thing that really spoke to me was like, they wear these costumes with these symbols on them, and these symbols are supposed to represent the things like values and things. Like, so Superman it's hope,
right?
Utopian, it's like, the code. And for me, I was like, one person who's been sort of revolutionary in our present times, like Colin Kaepernick, asking, are we living up to the values that this symbol represents? I don't think so. So I'm going to opt out and take a knee. And I was like, that's Hutch. Like, that's exactly what he's saying. It's like, I'm not here for this, because I don't think anybody's actually living up to what they say this is.
Was that the biggest thing that drew you to the role?
That was really big, yeah, because I also grew up I didn't grow up biracial. I am biracial. My mom's black, my dad's white. I see these. I've grown up seeing two Americas. I see, my white side of the family, they're living what you would call the American dream. White picket fence, 2.5 kids, 2-income family home. Now, my mom's side of the family, there's been a lot of success. There's a lot of people who have like overcome, but they've had to overcome a lot of struggles. And I've seen like not nearly the same opportunities have been presented to them, and how their differences, their opinions were so drastically different because they have never really walked in a mile in the other shoes. Yeah. And so for me, Hutch is like one of the first biracial superheroes I've actually seen. I don't think we've had one since like Warhawk in DC. Right.
Yeah.
And like, so you got this biracial dude who's living in this country where everybody's trying to put you in a box, trying to stigmatize or put meaning on you, and he's like, I'm not here for it. Yeah. Not at all. Yeah.
Now, did that kind of mess up your mind a little bit while in this role, or did you walk away feeling empowered?
I was feeling very empowered. What's funny is like, it's both. It's like, so there's like I think as this man is trying to grow into his own and who he wants to be, he also must figure out like, he doesn't really know his origins. He doesn't really know his dad, who has this infamous reputation. Yeah. All he has is the legacy of that reputation of being the son of the world's greatest supervillain.
Right.
So I think in order for him to understand who he is and how he wants to be different, he has to learn about his origins. That's driving him. So there's this really interesting parallel I found in the script. So when Josh Duhamel, who plays the Utopian, is like on the search for his powers, he's haunted by the ghost of his father. And I found that to be a direct parallel between me and like my father, who I never really knew. It's just like this idea of this like person who lives in your brain and you're kind of talking to, but they're not there, And then the other thing I thought was pretty cool is that because we're too busy trying to figure out who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, who's the superhero, who's the supervillain, and what we think about those people have a lot of blind spots. Hutch lives in that blind spot.
Yeah.
And that's why no one ever sees him coming.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was always like, every time somebody has something that has like their convictions or their code or their thing that they're trying to say, Hutch comes right in with the counter and like you didn't even see it and it blows you away.
That's awesome. I cannot wait to watch. Now, what do you hope audience kind of what can they expect and take away from, each episode? Is it just always high impact and just will blow you away? Is it a slow build? What can we expect from the series?
You're gonna expect some big action sequences for
Yeah.
sure. Right off the jump. Phil Silvera, our fight choreographer, is a mad genius. And we have these epic fight sequences that are just like raw and
Yeah.
real. You know what I mean? And you feel the tension of what it would be like having to put your life on the line every day, like a superhero like this.
Yeah.
And I think you're also going to see some real intimate moments. You're going to see like a lovely relationship build, like a fiery relationship between my romantic love interest Chloe and
Okay.
myself.
That's cool.
Yeah, we get pretty steamy. You're gonna see some wild heists and antics with my crew, Umberly Gonzalez, Jess Elguero, and Morgan David Jones, the Hutch crew as we nicknamed ourselves. But yeah, and but some really genuine human moments of a family just trying to figure out how to make their lives work
Yeah.
in these circumstances. Like a few people have said in the cast, like it reminds them of like a pastor and the church family.
Church
Like,
family.
you know what I mean? Like that need
Yeah.
to be perfect. Yeah, that need to be
A
perfect.
lot
That
of
need
us
to put on a
hung up.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Can't wait to watch it. Now, who are your top 5 superheroes?
Ooh. Okay.
Top 5.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. In no particular order.
Mm, in order.
I'll probably say okay. I'll try to. Okay, I'll make sure if I can do this. Okay, so number 5, John Constantine.
Okay.
Yeah, number 5, John Constantine. He's like a underworld, like deals with the afterlife and hell and magic and stuff like that. And I think he's just like
Definitely.
he's like a bumbling. He always bumbles. He's not like he's like
Yeah.
a drunk detective, which I
Yeah.
think is so cool. But
Definitely.
he gets the job done.
Okay.
Yeah, I like. I love. I love. This needs to be very specific. I love Jason Momoa Aquaman. I think I think like I'm first of all I'm so glad that somebody realized that a dude who spends 90% of his time on a beach actually might have a tan. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, makes
But
sense.
then he brings like his native Hawaiian culture
Yeah.
to the role, and it's just like it's epic now. It's not this like this handsome dude who's like I am protector of the sea. He's like no, like this is my straight up home. You're messing with
Oh,
it.
exactly. Okay, so Jason
Yeah,
Momoa, Aquaman. Okay.
yeah. Love Deadpool.
Okay.
Love Deadpool. I love the guys who like to shoot their mouths up a little bit too. And like he's definitely an anti-hero. He's like he doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve. He's all over the place, but you know, somewhere deep in there is a good person.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere deep in there. Um Batman.
Okay.
Batman, detective, smart, but number 1, King T'Challa, Black Panther.
That's amazing.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Black Panther to me was that was a masterpiece. I watched that all the time.
Yeah.
I watched it like I've seen it several times and like sorry, like it's sad to see he's gone.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan does a fantastic job in that piece too. It was just so smart and brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. You have some.
Yeah.
I would have not thought you would have said some of them because if it is not for Aquaman, your team might get beat.
If it wasn't Brock, my team?
Yes, no one like Aquaman has like probably the only powers. Everyone else is like if they're going against another team, I think they are.
No, Deadpool's got the healing.
Oh, that's true.
And Batman, he's rich. He's rich.
He's rich. That's his
You can do anything with that.
Exactly. So what do we expect next from you besides Jupiter's Legacy?
Let's see. I don't know right now. Right now, it's like the show's gearing up.
Okay.
It's about to take the world by storm, and I think we're going to be gearing up for season 2 hopefully soon. Like we're hoping for season 2, and if so, that's going to be a quick turnaround. So I'm like, they got me on lock right now.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for talking with us and just going over Jupiter's Legacy, which comes out May 7th on Netflix. So, and everybody can go ahead and binge watch. So we have something to watch this spring.
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right, take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.